This is the WJPW morning announcements, and I am JP Wright reporting. Well, friends and neighbors, today is Monday, and it's 06:50 in the morning. Whenever you're watching this video, happy birthday and good things for you. Let me tell you something here. You know, running narratives, right? Self-talk. It's that stuff that's going on in your mind at all times, right? And it's this backstory that you're telling yourself of what's going on in your life. Well, sometimes you just got to tell that backstory, shut the hell up. Ain't got time for all of that. Because what's really going on in your life, if you just open your eyes up and pay attention, is actually probably okay. Might not be, however, you're never going to get away from the bad stuff if you keep focusing on it. So, I got this running narrative, right? And I've got things to do and I got things to get my hands busy with. One of the things I'm busy with this morning is this. See that? That is ginger tea. And it's going to be something I'm going to drink all day. Now, this ginger I believe this was bought at K. Rogers, Kroger's. And it's not that expensive, and it's crystallized ginger with sugar on it already. Now, good morning, Kenny. According to this old book I used to read back in my old Good Neighbor Food Cooperative days, ginger has all kinds of qualities, right? It's got all kinds of medicinal qualities, and to tell you the truth, when it's coated in sugar, it tastes pretty dang good. So, I use about that much. Now, sugar's a root. So ginger is a root. So anytime you're making tea with a root, you got to boil it for at least 5 minutes, and then let it soak. Then fish it out, because the longer it sits in there, the stronger it gets. Now it's got some sugar on it from the sugar process that's crystallized the ginger. So I'm not going to add too much more sugar to that. I'm going to turn it off now because I've been boiling it for more than 5 minutes. I'm just going to let that sit. Then, most importantly to know, anytime you use honey in any kind of tea, don't boil the honey. Because if you do, you're going to kill the good stuff in the honey, and that's what you don't want to have happen. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drink that, and I'm going to drink that. I'm going to drink about 2, 3, 4 of those all day. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. Your body is made out of 74% water, something like that. So you better put it back in. And I drink way too much coffee and smoke way too many cigarettes not to be drinking something to keep these toxicants that I stick in my body and get them moving out there. Good morning. This is the WJPW morning announcements, and that was the medical section of the show. Now, I got to move on to the weather because, we're going to be talking some things that your grandma told you don't ever talk about. Politics and religion. We got some things to talk about, politics and religion now. But first, to break up the monotony,
was in the mid-30s.
got to talk about the weather.
Precipitation, 30%.
Precipitation.
Sunday and Sunday night.
Sunday.
Partly cloudy with a 20% chance.
Well, hell, that's all the way next week almost.
Upper 40s.
It's future telling. I wouldn't listen to it.
6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time weather conditions across north central Kentucky and south central Indiana. At Louisville International, it was cloudy.
That's Louisville Muhammad Ali International there, buddy.
41 degrees, the dew point 37, and the relative humidity 86%.
Okay.
The wind was northwest at 10 miles
Yeah,
per
it's
hour.
kicking it up out there, ain't
The
it?
pressure was 30.04 inches.
Yeah, I can feel that pressure.
At Bowman Field, it was cloudy. The temperature was 40 degrees,
Uh-huh.
the dew point 35, and the relative humidity 86%.
I tell you, it's cold out there. You're going to need a jacket.
The wind was north
Yep,
at 12
we're going to need a
miles
jacket
an
this
hour.
morning.
The pressure was 30.04
Might even need a coat.
inches and rising. At Jasper, it was
At
cloudy.
Jasper, yeah.
The temperature
That's
was
where they make them
36
engines.
degrees, the dew point 32, and the relative humidity 85%.
Relative humidity.
The wind was
Must all be
northwest
related.
at 17 miles an hour. The pressure was 30.11 inches and rising.
There's that pressure
Once again,
again.
at Louisville International, it was 41 degrees under cloudy
pressure.
skies. Elsewhere
All right,
around
then.
the region.
Okay, that's the weather. We know what the weather is today. It's going to be cold and windy. Take a coat. Howdy, folks, and howdy. This is the WJPW morning announcements, and I am JP Wright reporting thethreadinthequilt.com, thethreadinthequilt.com, thethreadinthequilt.com. Friends and neighbors, thethreadinthequilt.com. That's where you can go to find my poetry and my music. And if you would like to, friends and neighbors, if you'd like to support musicians and artists and stuff, you can go there. And you can download stuff. And you can participate in the digital economy. And then you would be supporting a unemployed, at the moment, musician. And you can take that into your heart and know that you are doing that and you are supporting arts. But if you ain't got no money, don't do that. Just download the shit for free. How's it going this morning, everybody? There he is. The thread in the quilt.com. Because folk music and folk narratives and storytelling is the thread that holds us all together. It is, my friends and neighbors. We all got different ideas about how we feel about things, but however, there is a thread that holds us all together, and that is the folk tradition. It is our music and our culture and our songs and our food and our storytelling. That's the thread in the quilt that holds this thing all together, friends and neighbors. Good morning. How's it going? This is the WJPW morning announcements. Well, we done had a little bit of medicinal stuff. Talking about ginger. Now, ginger is, I believe, is a diuretic. Be careful. If you drink it, you're going to pee a lot. But it's going to be good for you, and you need to know that. I got an African friend from Guinea. His name is Hamadou. And in the summertime, he always drinks a drink that's ginger and cayenne. And I tell you, it'll kick you in the neck. You drink that. But I'll tell you what it'll do for you in the summertime. It will keep you a sweating, and as long as you're good and hydrated, it'll keep you from overheating. When I was firing that good old Bella Louisville, that big old steamboat, many times I would drink at work cayenne pepper, just a tiny bit, because you don't want to put a lot in there. I'd mix cayenne pepper with a little bit of that ginger, and I'd drink that, and that would keep me a sweating. Because sometimes that firebox gets hot. So I got this friend named Hamadou. He's from Guinea. And he would ginger and cayenne. And boy, I tell you, whoo. Anyway, I studied with Baba Olatunji years ago back in the early 90s. I studied with Baba Olatunji twice. Went up to New York and did an intensive workshop all week long. The second time, I got a chance to sit right next to Baba Olatunji for a week. He was here. I was here. He was sitting right here. And I watched him like a hawk because Baba Olatunji back in the 50s brought African music to the forefront. He had a djembe player named Laji Camara, who was also from Guinea. That was probably one of the most famous djembe players ever to play in the United States, because he was probably one of the first djembe players really to get to that level. Baba Olatunji was signed to Columbia Records. There's a Bob Dylan song that mentions Olatunji. But one of the things that I do when I start feeling like I've got anxiety building up in my body, or I feel like I'm getting weird, like we all can do sometimes, especially with how crazy it is in the world these days. I remember this thing that Baba Olatunji taught us, where he talked about he would get up in the morning and he would sing. And when you sing, you breathe. And if you ain't breathing, you're going to go crazy. And if you shallow breathing and you're in panic and anxiety, you're going to go crazy. And it's as simple as that. So Baba Olatunji taught us this song that says, Aramile, Aramile. Oh, and that is very simple. It's Aramile. It just means I feel good. Aramile in Yoruban language in Nigeria. Aramile, 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 oh yeah, yeah. Aramile, 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 oh, oh. See what happened? Yeah, I already pushed all of that out. Aramile, oh. Aramile, oh. And it sounds like really groovy and spiritual, right? Well, feeling good and breathing is groovy and spiritual. Aha! Now we're getting into some spiritual stuff. Oh, we might be entering into the religion section. Aramile, 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 oh yeah, yeah, hey! Aramile, 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 oh yeah, yeah, say it. Aramile, 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 oh yeah, yeah. Aramile, 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 oh yeah, yeah. Now don't tell me you don't have any rhythm. Because you walk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Aramile, 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 oh yeah, yeah. See, if you walk, you can play drums. If you want to play drums. Because if you walk, you got rhythm. Your heart's constantly beating. Next thing you know, we're entering into old school, Old Testament, Nyabingi Rastafarianism. Back Ethiopian Coptic Christian Church. You know, now we're getting into some real esoteric things, right? I don't know. What are we doing here? We're meandering. That's why in my books I always say, I digress often. So let's get into some. Let's see. First off, we had at the beginning of the video we had how to make ginger tea, and then we talked about politics and stuff. We talked about stuff like that. I think we did the weather. It's going to be cold. Take a jacket outside if you're living in this area in the Ohio Valley. And then we talked about drums, and now we're going to talk really quickly about politics. Poly means many. Ticks are blood-sucking parasites. And I got that from Utah Phillips. Now let me just tell you something, friends and neighbors. Howdy, Jeff. What's going on, buddy? It's kind of early for you out there, ain't it? Well, anyway, let me just tell you something. How does a farmer's cooperative sound to you? Does that sound like a good thing to do? A bunch of people come together and they cooperatively come together in a small group, and then they use each other's talents to get themselves a mutual situation going on. It's a farmer's cooperative. Does that sound like a good thing to do? You're a socialist if you do. I hate to tell you that, and I know argue with me. Convince me. Let me just explain something else to you. I'm a member of the L&N Federal Credit Union. The Federal Credit Union is a member-owned bank, and they got a board of directors and somewhat of a democratic process. Not that incredibly democratic, but I hate to tell you this. I don't know if you're a member of the L&N Federal Credit Union, you are somewhat of a democratic socialist, and argue with me if you want to. And I hate to tell you this, but if you are a member of a rural electrical cooperative, you're a socialist. Not all the way, but you're using socialistic principles of economics, but they didn't teach you that in school. What they taught you was, don't ever say that word, because that means that you ain't going to get screwed eventually, because you're going to want to get things for free or potentially at a cheaper price because you're not participating in a competitive market, because cooperativization is not a competitive market and they don't mix. It's kind of like apples and oranges and cats and dogs. They just don't mix. And everybody knows the natural differences. Unless, because they wanted apples to become more important, they never told you about the powerful effects of oranges. However, I digress often. So it is the WJPW morning announcements, and I am JP Wright reporting in. And let me tell you, there, fellow workers, it's all the way it is, the way it's always been. It is what it is, and I'm going to tell you now that we're going to be able to figure it all out if we just sit there and take care of it and make sure you breathe and push it all out. And friends and neighbors, I'm going to tell you, if you think I'm crazy, I'm going to tell you I am crazy, because I am kind of like a rodeo clown, and I am sort of a sacred hyoka, and that's my job, and I always knew that. So, hey, good morning, everybody. How y'all doing? This is the 5-minute news. The news is the no good is news. Good news. No news is good news. And let me tell you this, if you want to be part of the axis of evil, go to www.thethreadinthequilt.com. Thethreadinthequilt.com. That's my website. If you would like to join the axis of evil, do it. You can join it. You can be in the club. It's a cult quilt making society, and you can join it. Thethreadinthequilt.com. If you would like to be part of the axis of evil, math is part of the axis of evil. Saturday Night Live is part of the axis of evil. Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Netflix series, all of it is all part of the axis of evil. It is propaganda, and my work is propaganda. I'm trying to teach people that they have a folk narrative that is free and can be passed along, such as the itsy bitsy spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out come the sun and dried up all the rain, and the itsy bitsy spider comes up the spout again. If your grandma passed that on to you and you got it for free, then you are a commie. Let me tell you, Red, I'm going to tell you, you're too radical. That's too radical to be passing folk music back and forth in your own family, because that's free, and it means you're getting something for free, and you ain't going to Walmart and buying it, and you ain't streaming it off some sort of bandwidth. Now, let me just tell you, here's the storytelling part of this video. Now, I make fun and be silly and use different accents, and I'm just doing that to be funny. Now, don't judge me. You know what I'm saying? Don't judge me. I got this long hair because I like Jesus. Now, come on. It's true. I really do. That's why... Well, because the Native Americans say that their water should always flow from the mountains. And I ain't cut my hair since my kid was born. And because I like Jesus. He's a cool dude. You know what I'm saying? That dang socialist. Whew, them Jews, I tell you what, they wanted to fight Rome and didn't want to pay their taxes. They tried to peg it on Jesus. What he say? Well, what's on the money? Show me the money. Right? That's what he said. And what he say? Caesar's on the money. So pay that guy taxes and stop asking me that question, because I ain't going to answer that question. That ain't my political program here. My political program is kind of like Bernie Sanders. However, I digress often. Here's another good thing to know. It's the storytelling thing. There was an old lady who swallowed a fly. I don't know why she swallowed a fly. You know what happened. I knew an old lady who swallowed a spider. And you ain't going to believe this shit, but it wiggled and jiggled and tickled inside her. And you know what I'm saying? She swallowed a spider to catch the fly, and I just don't know why she swallowed that fly. Perhaps she'll die. I knew an old lady who swallowed a bird. Now, I tell you what, that is absurd. She swallowed a bird to catch that spider because it wiggled and jiggled and tickled inside her. And she swallowed that spider to catch the fly, and I tell you what, I have no freaking clue why she did that, because she might die from it. This is a folk story passed along through generations of people, and that's what that thethreadinthequilt.com is all about. Thethreadinthequilt.com. folkmusic.com. We got to tie ourselves together, friends and neighbors. And that's what all that folk music did for us. And let me tell you, there is folk music and there is folk traditions and folk stories, and that's what I am all about. Because we all got something in common, and that's what we should be focusing on instead of our differences. We're all going to have differences, obviously. Yeah, I know she swallowed a cat. Imagine that. And then I'll tell you what, my favorite part is, eventually she's going to swallow a pig. And there is some serious, deep discussion about what happens after she swallowed a pig, because my family said jiggity jig she swallowed a pig. But there's other folks that say other things happened when she swallowed that pig. Now, she did swallow a horse, and we all know what happened after that. So, this is the WJPW morning announcements, and we only have one last thing to do before I let you go this morning. And I appreciate you spending the time with me. Make sure that you hit that share button and share this video. It's going to be up on my Facebook page. You can direct people to it. You can say, hey, check this crazy guy out. He's funny, he's silly, and he's dumb, and he's acting like a fool. And I tell you what, if you think I'm silly and acting like a fool, it's working, because that's exactly what I'm doing. Trying to provide you with a little bit of distraction from the insanity of this world. And put your hands on the phone, friends and neighbors, and send me your dollars, and I'll send them right to Jesus. No, I'm just teasing. I'm not going to do that. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. This is not a video preaching show. Unless you want it to be. Ha! I tell you. Now that's some crazy shit, right? If you think you might be crazy, watch a Baptist minister get really wild. Now you tell me that ain't crazy. You might want to say, now that guy's going manic. I'll tell you what. You can also watch Cecil Roberts from the UMWA, the United Mine Workers of America. Now that guy was a preacher boy, and I tell you what, you want to watch that union president? Now that guy knows how to get his people running. I tell you, he is a video preaching freakazoid. Now I'm gonna tell you what, I don't know. He's too radical in my opinion, because he's a union man. I'll tell you what, you get them people sticking together to fight up against these corporations and don't give a flying cheese sandwich about you. That is radical. Too radical. Bunch of god-dang socialist communists trying to steal America just like the Boy Scouts. Wait a minute. The Boy Scouts, a group of people coming together to try to mutually take care of themselves, and they all talk about themselves, and they do their thing, and every once in a while they do things to help other people. Oh my God, the freaking Boy Scouts is a union. And they have a sister organization called the Girl Scouts. Oh my God, what is the world coming to? Oh my gosh, membership dues and uniforms and everything, and they have these funny little handshakes and all this stuff. I think it might be kind of like, holy shit, the Nazi youth or something. What in the world was this world coming to? Well, I'll tell you what there, friends and neighbors, I don't know. And you know what? I'll tell you what the world's coming to. The end of the show. I'm going to give you a big piece of advice. Now, don't take advice unsolicited, but take it. You got to breathe. You got to eat. You got to sleep. And you got to take a big old crap on company time. That's what you got to do. And sometimes you just got to do what you don't want to do. Hate to tell you that. However, I digress often. Now, the thread in the quilt.com. I guess we better leave with a song. Played a little bit of Jim Bay, otherwise known as Jim Bay. I guess we'll leave with a song. Well, if you want to sing out, sing out. And if you want to be free, be free. 'Cause there's a million things to be. You know that there are. And if you want to live high, live high. And if you want to live low, live low. 'Cause there's a million ways to go. You know that there are. So that's the song. You look it up. Google it. If you want to sing out, sing out. Now, I hate to tell you, you're going to end up in it with a Sufi on your hands. That old Cat Stevens, I tell you. I tell you, the story about Cat Stevens that I like the most is that he gave up music there for a little while and then he got it back. Ain't that a great story? Company time is where I am headed, and thanks for sharing. The thread keeps a running like the Ohio. Yes, it does, and that is a very good point, because that is very true. And with that, coming from Vinny there, we are, what a name, Vinny Vegas. Woo! All right then. Go on to work, take big shit on company time, and I tell you what, too. We don't want to get all the way to the end because I got to mention something. TheThreadInTheQuilt.com. TheThreadInTheQuilt.com. You can go to my Bandcamp page and you can download MP3s. You can also look there at my bio and you can see what it is that I come from and what I've done. And if you want to, you can go to my Spotify page and you can search for John Paul Wright on Spotify and download some stuff and listen and everything else. And every once in a while, get a check. And you can also go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because if I get 1,000 followers, I'll be able to make some money. But right now, I can't make no money because I can't get my friends to go to my page and like it. Can't get my friends to subscribe because they just don't seem to figure out how this is working in the digital economy. So you just got to go and you got to press that little subscribe. And even if you don't pay attention to it, that's okay, because it's good for me. And thank you. And that's how it works. And let me tell you there, friends and neighbors, that's how it's done. It's how it's done. In the digital economy, they're trying to stream everything because they don't want anybody to steal nothing. So CDs are going to be something you can keep, and I got those too, but I ain't got none right now. And let me tell you, some of my friends and neighbors, this is how it's done, and how's it going and everything else, and how's it going and everything else. And next thing you know, you keep doing this, next thing you know, you're going to be in a craziness, and you're going to be saying, holy cow, and all kinds of stuff, and if you ain't careful. And this is WJPW, the morning announcements. How you doing? How's it going? It's Monday. It's good. Also, December the 14th, and everybody knew saying it was going on. And let me tell you this. Professional work is what I do. And I'm going to tell you what's happening. And it's happy to be wild. Whoa, Steve Martin. And let me tell you what I'm saying. And thethreadinthequilt.com. This has been the WJPW morning announcements. If you find any wooden nickels, you better bite it. Make sure it's real. Thank you for watching. Please share. And if you want to, participate. Have a good one.